Hey, well, welcome back to the NorthWoods Church Matters podcast. We're going to have our second dose of Christmas podcast today, this time with the dudes of the office. We had the ladies last week, and this week we've got the men. Let me go through the roll call here. We've got Ryan Moore, our missions pastor, back from Panama, and brought some germs back with you as well.
Which is not uncommon.
Darren Garton, our executive pastor, dressed up this morning to do a wedding.
Hello.
Yeah. You can't see it, but he looks very dapper.
Dearly beloved.
Yeah. That could be a Prince song, too. Bobby Pell, our lead pastor. Yep. And Dr. Bobby Pell, we'll say.
Yes.
And then Zach Newsom, basking in the glow of football victories this weekend.
Go Titans.
We've had a Roll Tide and a Go Titans this morning. We're in a good mood to go. Let's get into the Christmas questions. So if you could afford to take your whole family on vacation at Christmas time, where would you go? We'll start with Ryan.
I think New Zealand would be a fun place to go. I've never been, but when I see pictures of it, it's just beautiful landscape, beautiful scenery. It's where Lord of the Rings was filmed. I don't know that there's anything Christmassy specific about New Zealand, but it's a beautiful place.
The long flight with your family might ruin it, though.
Well, I'll be first class.
The question says if you could afford it, so clearly he can afford first class.
I think his point is he's leaving Jessica back there with his...
Oh, she's with me. No, she's with me. The kids are by themselves.
Jessica and Ryan are first class. The kids are coach. Maybe even baggage. Darren, what's your...
Well, I maybe overthought the question because it was about if it's not my money, I would do something like that where you go some place like in the Swiss Alps or something where there's little towns that just go all out for Christmas. I think that would be fun. If it was my money, though, probably someplace we like to go to Anna Maria Island. And part of that is because it's a place where you don't have to make decisions. We know where we want the donut shop we want to go to. We know where we want to get pizza, where we want to eat. And it's just very familiar. And we do that after the holidays some years, so probably Anna Maria.
Cool.
Mountains. I'm not a huge mountain guy, but my family is. And so I would submit myself to the rest of the family, and we would do mountains.
Appalachian or Rockies?
Yeah, probably more Rockies, and more probably, because we haven't been there, probably even further north and do Canada Rockies.
Oh, wow.
Calgary, Alberta.
This was probably the most difficult question. Do I have to take my kids?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
That's in the question. If you could afford to take your whole family.
Your whole family.
Are they a part of your family?
They are.
Then the answer to the question. Come on.
I would probably say somewhere in Europe, so I'll just say Switzerland.
All right, so what does your family do on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day? And I think this really is the question of when do you open your presents with your family? So, Ryan?
Yeah, we do a set of Christmas pajamas on Christmas Eve for them to wear for Christmas Day. That's the only thing that we'll open on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, we always do Christmas also wherever home is for us, right? We try not to, and we've been good about it thus far. We're not in Mississippi on Christmas Day. We kind of have our own traditions of waking up, opening presents in our own home, and that's worked well for us.
So, just to clarify, you and Jessica don't get matching pajamas with the kids.
I don't appreciate that question.
Is this going to get you in trouble?
This is skirting on the line of Ryan may get in trouble.
Okay.
No, it's just the kids. It's just the kids.
Just the kids. Okay.
I do think I know what I'm going to get him for Christmas.
Pajamas that match the kids.
So we do the same thing. We open a present. More recently, it has been pajamas, matching pajamas. My kids are grown, but everybody gets a pair of pajamas. So right now I have 8 bags with matching pajamas and socks for everybody sitting on the counter. So we actually have that, and then we take a picture with that. And then one year we wore them to the Chinese restaurant, which was great as well.
Yes.
So, but we can't go back there now. So, but no, we do that. And then we open present by present Christmas morning so that it doesn't go too fast. Everybody gets a chance to watch what present was opened. And so it takes a little bit to do that.
See, there's no shame in having matching pajamas for the whole family. So
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
That helps. That helps me.
Yeah.
This is one of those things that, because we're very much empty nesters, and so every year it's a little different. Growing up, or as the kids were growing up, we would do a present on Christmas Eve, and then everything else was Christmas morning. We were Christmas morning people. But, now it sort of depends upon the year. This year we'll be with Ryan on Christmas Day. The boys sort of we send them their presents because one's in Iowa and one is moving to Minnesota. And so we've got all of that thing going on. Between Amy and I, it's normally Christmas Day that we would share between each other, but it can be anytime.
Y'all heading to Chattanooga this Christmas time?
We will leave on Christmas Day.
Okay.
After our 4 services on Christmas
After 4 services.
We don't really have any set traditions, really. I think this year we'll actually be opening our presents Christmas morning because we'll be here Christmas Eve, obviously, with it falling on a Sunday. Only set tradition, my dad's side of the family, which is pretty large. We all meet at my grandmother's house. Christmas night, open presents. We have a big finger food buffet, so that's a lot of fun. The guys will weigh before we eat, and then we'll weigh after we eat. So I think the record is at like 8 pounds last year. So,
Y'all really do that?
We do. I don't partake anymore. I'll get sick, but we do.
Okay, so what holiday movie do you have to watch every year?
Yeah, this has changed for us. It used to be Christmas Story with Ralphie, and it has shifted to Elf with Will Ferrell. And so that's my kid's favorite Christmas movie. That and Home Alone. Both of those are a lot of fun for them.
Yeah. I feel like they've kind of burned out A Christmas Story. Like
TNT did.
Yeah, they started showing it 24 hours a day, and I'm just kind of sick of it at this point.
We gather all the kids around the TV, and we all always watch Violent Night. And I'm just kidding. We don't do that. White Christmas is the one that if I had to pick one, I do like those other ones as well. But I love the humor between Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby, and I'm fascinated by people who can dance because I know this is a huge surprise. I can't dance. So music of it is great.
Wow.
So for me, it would be anything Hallmark. Then it would be Home Alone would be my go-to. And I'll watch Home Alone at some point in time this Christmas season. I haven't watched it yet, but I will.
For me personally, it's Christmas Vacation. For us as a family, it's The Grinch. So we've watched it probably 15 times already. So.
My wife can quote The Grinch.
Really?
The cartoon Grinch.
The cartoon one?
Yeah, we would sit off to the side as a family and watch her literally quote The Grinch.
Wow.
It's a sight.
She's probably read that book hundreds of times to kids and stuff. Yeah.
Opinions on the live action Grinch?
No bueno.
No bueno.
I prefer the
Talking about the
animated,
Jim
the
Carrey.
original.
Yeah, my experience with the live action Grinch was that we took a trip to New York City. There's always those vendors that are selling just different stuff. And so we bought a bootleg copy of The Grinch and brought it home. And it was the worst recording. Like somebody had sat in the movie theater. This is pre-phones, like with the camera and recorded the thing, and it's shaky. And, but we just had to buy something off a street vendor that was kind of checking the box of what to do in New York City. All right, so here's the Home Alone question. You're left home alone and bandits are trying to break into your house. How would you booby trap your house?
I think that you're assuming with that question that my house is not already booby trapped. So my kids, if I were to do this, then we could very easily do it with Legos. Put Legos on the floor for them to have to walk on barefoot or something like that, right? Because our kids, they love Legos and we have a bunch of them.
Yeah, I want the word on the street to be that my house is booby trapped, so that you can't come in.
First of all, if someone's trying to get into our house, we shoot to kill. So let's begin with that.
Bobby is well armed in his house.
Okay. Secondly, I was trying to think through this in the sense of what do I have that I could utilize? And I have an electric fence. And I would utilize the electric fence to booby trap the house, preferably to add a little more voltage to it. But I would go down that path. And if you've ever experienced an electric fence, it is shocking.
Oh, it is.
It is shocking.
Awesome.
That was going to be my answer. Proud supporter of the Second Amendment. But I like the Legos. We don't have a lot of Legos. We've got a ton of Hot Wheels. So
Hot Wheels, yeah. So takeaway is more shooting, less booby traps in his house.
The difference between the ladies and the men.
And men. I will say that I have a controversial take that I like Home Alone 2 better than Home Alone.
Oh, that is controversial.
Wow.
Yeah, where you're staying in the hotel, I think that's better than the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've seen it, but I can't remember anything about
What's your favorite booby trap?
Maybe I'm sadistic, but it's the one where the guy's head burns.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. That looks incredibly painful.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a booby trap, but I like the zip line at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought, man,
I
I'd
like
love
the
to have that.
iron down the laundry chute where he looks up and then
Yes.
he has the imprint on his head. I think that's-
I like the hand on the hot doorknob.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as well.
The tarantula.
The tarantula.
The tarantula is good too.
Home Alone is incredibly nostalgic for me. Every time I watch it, I think back to, I don't know if my Aunt Janet is going to listen to this, but I think back to Aunt Janet laughing hysterically at all of the booby traps. And so as these guys are screaming, in my mind, I'm going back 30 years to watching it with Aunt Janet and hearing her scream about it.
So, what's the worst and best Christmas presents you've ever received?
So when I was thinking through this, I thought of an answer that could comprise both worst and best. When I was a child, it was considered the worst, but as an adult, I look forward to it every year, and that's new socks and new underwear. Man, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Same.
Man, it's great.
My grandma did that. Who got socks and underwear. And what I didn't like about it was you had to act. Like, it's open and the process is open. You know what's coming and you're like, oh, thank you, Granny. New socks. I love it. But now, if you get a really good pair of socks, like, I don't know if anybody's had Bombas socks or whatever, like those really good socks or underwear or whatever, those, now that's like, yeah, that's good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is an area where I agreed with the ladies on their podcast. Clothes that you don't like would be, I can't think of, that's the worst. And that's happened a few times, I can think. And for me, best, I like fun. And so anything I ever receive that helps me have fun, games, I love games. I love anything that moves me towards being able to have fun with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
A pickleball paddle, because immediately I think about fun. Fun is something that I look forward to, and I always put that in the category of best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the worst for me would probably be an ugly sweater that comes to mind. The best, this was really difficult. I have to say two. Number two is the basketball goal that I got. Got a lot of use out of that. The best probably was a lime green go-kart that I got one year.
Wow.
And so I was the coolest kid in the neighborhood with that thing.
You still are.
I was, but I definitely was when I got that. So I went through probably 3 sets of tires on that thing and got in a lot of trouble as well.
Do you still have the go-kart?
No, I finally had to get rid of it.
Oh, man. That'd be a good thing to hand down to your kid. I would like to see Zach's kids on a
They
go-kart.
need a go-kart.
They need a go-kart.
I agree.
With the more kids.
And yeah, oh well. We're going a little far.
We're going a little far. Okay. Rapid fire questions here. All right. Does peppermint belong in coffee?
I don't like it.
I'm a yes around Christmas time. So the Starbucks white chocolate peppermint, yeah, that's good. But it needs to end at a certain time so you can enjoy it next year.
December 26th,
Yeah,
it needs
that's
to
right.
go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gag.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Generally, nothing belongs in coffee but coffee. But this time of year, it's acceptable.
Are you a completely black coffee guy?
Completely black. That's the way to drink coffee.
That's a real man.
Is anybody else in here like that?
No, because no
Wow.
one measures up to Zach's standards.
Pray for you guys.
Pray for
He did. When we went to Salt Lake City together, and he poured me, what do you call it, a pour over? Is that what you call it? He made me a pour over, and it is good. It's very good. I appreciated it, but I do like my honey or half and half.
I will say black coffee depends on who it is. Like, there's some of the different high-end coffee chains that their coffee's just really strong. Like, I don't like Starbucks at all plain. It's just really strong. But there's other brands of coffee that I'll drink black, and it's not a problem. How about eggnog? Do people like eggnog?
I like it. I don't seek it. Like, I know some people are like, they want to have it, but I like a nog. I didn't know what to say. I didn't stick the landing on that.
I like my dog.
That'll be my quote. Darren Garden.
Darren Garden, not like my dog.
My wife likes it, and I do not.
Oh, wow. Your house divided.
We are a house divided.
I don't know that I've ever had it.
Yet I was about to say that. I'm 40 years old, and I don't have any idea what it tastes like.
Well, let's fix that.
I don't.
I'm getting some eggnog this week.
Isn't it alcoholic?
It can be.
It can be.
Everything can be.
There's another Darren Garden quote for the day. Anything can be alcoholic.
Anything can be alcoholic.
Put that in your black coffee.
Yeah, right.
Irish coffee.
I'm going to bring this to staff meeting, but the hot drink that we do that I sort of grew up on was apple juice with Red Hots. And we do that all December.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've got some right now in the Frigidaire that I would warm up in the microwave. You just melt the Red Hots in the apple juice. I love that.
Is that wassail? Here we come a wassailing. Isn't that what wassail is?
I don't know.
I think
What you call it.
I think we called that wassail.
I don't know.
I've never wassailed. I don't think.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
It's really good.
I nog, but I don't waffle. All right. Holiday shopping in person or online?
Online. It's just so convenient.
I've changed this year on that. Last year I would have said in person just because you can do that. But the service online now, like I bought a pair of shoes recently. I could try them on. I could hold up my foot and see them on my foot. I could have the difference, I could see everything, and I could actually get help. Online now is the way I've done most of this shopping this Christmas. So
Everything I've bought online this year. But I enjoy, this is where I'm a lot like my mother. I enjoy the crowd. And so I enjoy the hustle and bustle of stuff. It's another area. My wife hates the hustle and bustle of being out in the crowd. And when I say I enjoy it for about 2 hours. And then after about 2 hours, I need a nap.
Yeah.
And so,
Stick a fork.
yeah, that's right. So give me 2 hours. I can have fun with it. And then I need to go home.
Yeah.
But as far as actual buying stuff, I buy it online.
Okay.
Yeah, Amazon's my friend, so clicking a button's just way too easy.
I think we're a staff united here.
Mm-hmm.
Shop online.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping on Christmas Eve. Love it or loathe it?
I have had to do it before just because of last minute, but if I've planned well and I have a preference, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
Try not to get to that place where you have things, but it seems like every year there's some things for stockings or whatever that you still need to get. So I wouldn't, loathe is a little strong for me, but I don't mind to have to grab a few things.
I'm not a Christmas Eve guy when it comes to shopping. To be honest, Christmas Eve for the last however many years, I'm at church.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
That's not an option.
Yeah.
But everything's got to be put to bed.
I don't like shopping, period, especially Christmas Eve, so I'll be a no.
There are some people, though, that do all of their shopping on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. I have some relatives that do that.
At Walgreens.
Yeah. It's, maybe we can speak into this, that it's interesting for pastors that Christmas Eve has really turned into one of the biggest days of the year for us, as when people are willing to come to church and attendance wise too. And so it's a big game day for us. So if we're talking about Christmas Eve traditions, I mean, it's got to be,
That's right.
for us, we're working.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it is true. There's 4 services on that day, 2 that morning for us, 2 that evening. And that night, there will in all likelihood be more lost people here that night than any other time for the year, including Easter. So lost people are more willing to come to church on Christmas Eve than even on Easter because of the tradition of it. And so it is definitely an interesting and important time of the year for us.
Yeah. One of my friends that goes to the hills told me they have 11 services. So those will be some exhausted people after that.
I'm tired about thinking about 4.
I know. 11.
Yeah, 11.
Well,
Yeah, that's right.
goodness gracious, that's a lot of hoops to jump through. Would you rather snoop your presents or be surprised?
I like a good surprise.
Okay.
The surprises.
Yeah. Did you snoop your presents when you were
As
younger?
a child, 100% I did. And I found some of them. Mom, I'm sorry. I did. I certainly did.
Did you ever find one and then regret it because you weren't surprised?
There was you're on the hunt, right, as a kid. And so the hunt was exciting. But I do remember once you find it, you're like, oh, man.
Socks.
And the socks are from Dollar General. They're not Bombas.
You just need to remember you've got Benjamin.
Oh, my goodness.
So if you were on the hunt,
I know
you got to
is.
know he's on the
I
hunt.
know he is.
I like to be surprised. We have a walk-in closet where we dress, and it's not uncommon for me to see a present or two corners sticking out. And I won't look. My wife can hide them in plain sight because I just won't look. I want to be surprised. So
I want to be surprised. I'm with that.
Snoop.
You're a snooper.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I am so disappointed.
The only regret in snooping is you have to wait until Christmas to have it in your possession.
when you have to act now, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
surprise.
So,
Wow.
sorry.
Were any of your children, or are any of your children, snoopers?
Yeah, Eden is not. She's a rule follower. She is not. But Bobby, you're 100%. Benjamin is so much like his daddy. And I haven't caught him actively looking, but I'm confident he knows something, at least something that he's getting this year because he's been in our closet, right? So,
No?
My kids are not. No.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I would say that it would not surprise me in the least if our kids did snoop. I don't know of them ever finding anything. Amy is a very good hider. She's not going to leave you in plain sight. You're going to have to go through Fort Knox to find what she has. And so it would have been very difficult for them.
Mine are still pretty young, so they are not currently, but I suspect that they will be.
Well, I'm sure you'll train them.
It's become harder to hide things because a lot of our bank cards are tied to the same app. So if anybody buys anything now, it's really hard to kind of keep things secretive. So.
Or you share an Amazon account.
Yeah, exactly.
Find stuff out.
The ladies mentioned this in the last episode, but I'm the guy who sends all my stuff here. Okay? So I don't mind saying that. There may be others, but I'm the one who, and I then reimburse our church because I just don't want my wife to know whatever it is, because she watches the Amazon account. She watches all that stuff.
yeah.
And so I walk up to Linda Harris, our church treasurer, and I'll give her some money every December, and she knows what it's about. This is me trying to pay for my Christmas.
I will say
Kathy knows.
Kathy knows.
Kathy knows.
That's right.
Kathy knows what Amy's getting this year. I will say that my wife is the world's worst snooper. And so I make lots of efforts to not get in that direction. I don't ask her what she wants for Christmas, ever.
Yeah.
Because I want her to be surprised.
Yep.
And then she just asked me 15 million questions, and she just can't stand it. Like, we were going to bed last night, and my wife is infamous for, like, I'm getting ready to literally go to sleep, and she'll ask me a question. Last night's question was, did you get me this? I'm like, nice try. I'm going to bed. I'm not doing that. So this is a great man question. So is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I have watched it on Christmas, but I don't typically think this is part of my lineup that I have to get through every Christmas.
So the question for me is, if a movie is set at Christmas time, is it necessarily a Christmas movie? It's like Gremlins is set at Christmas, but I don't think that's a Christmas movie or whatever. And so I would say it's a movie set at Christmas time, but I don't have to watch it at Christmas time.
I'd say, yeah, it's a Christmas movie. I like Die Hard at Christmas. And let's be honest, it's about the only time of the year I might watch Die Hard. So, yeah, it fits for me.
You can shame me. I've never watched it.
Oh, wow.
Never seen it.
Wow.
Right, we're getting
Why?
some nog for him.
I'm not a big movie guy, so I don't watch a ton of movies anyway. But I've never watched
Eggnog and Die Hard. All right. So what has God taught you in 2023?
I have racked up some miles this year. And one of the things God has taught me, I started January 23 in Cuba, and in November and December ended up in Philippines and Panama. And God has really just shown me that He is at work everywhere. He is always at work in people's lives that we don't know what He's doing in their lives, but He's on the move everywhere, all over the world. And that has been so encouraging for me to meet believers in other parts of the world and find common ground in Christ.
My thing would be embrace change. We've had a lot of change in my family this year. My wife has changed jobs. I've had a daughter move home and buy a house. I've had a daughter have a baby and move in with us, and we're helping to care for our grandson. So a lot of things in flux right now. The one constant in our life is change. And I would just say, sometimes you find yourself getting to this place where you're like, when things settle down, then I'll really start sort of enjoying life and do the things I want to do or whatever. I just don't think that's going to happen. And I think, the one thing constant in my life is the Lord is faithful. He is there. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. And so while things may be changing and, just where my family is at this point, there's going to be a lot more change even to come this next year. But just to remember He is constant. He is the anchor for my soul. He never changes. And He's promised His presence through whatever comes in the coming year. So,
yeah, for me, a couple of things. Having got here in February, I would just say God's taught me a lot in terms of just how to work with this team and love this team that God's called me to work with, how to love a new church and a new place, and just sort of see God's hand at work in a number of ways. Seems like every year when I read through the Bible, God sort of draws me back to a particular passage or a verse that I have really meditated on. And this year it's been in 2 Samuel chapter 22, at the end of David's kingship and life, and he reflects, and really the whole chapter would be worth meditating on. It's just a lot of just powerful stuff. But 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 31 says, God, His way is perfect. The word of the Lord is pure. He is a shield to all who take refuge in Him. And that to me has just been a powerful verse that I've gone to over and over this year. God, His way is perfect. If His way is perfect, therefore His word is pure. And if His word is pure, then He is worth taking refuge in.
I would say that what the Lord has taught me in 2024 is being unsettled is okay. This has been, from a leadership perspective, a challenging year. There have been lots of times this year as a leader that I didn't know what direction I was supposed to lead in, and that lasted for months. That goes directly contrary to my nature, and in my own heart and in my own soul, I've just come to recognize I may not know what's going on, but that's okay. God does. And those moments of being unsettled isn't simply an opportunity for me to trust in the Lord, recognize my dependence on Him, and recognize His faithfulness. That the passage that all of us in this room I know can quote is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll make your path straight, is what one version says. And that's been very helpful for me, just to think through my need to trust, my need to recognize that in the moments of my life where, just as a pastor, that I've been not knowing what's about to happen. And if the church hasn't understood that literally there have been 4, 5, 6, 7 months this year, I was trying to lead faithfully, but trying to lead faithfully with open hands about what are we about to do. I didn't know. I honestly had no clue, but trusted that God would reveal in His time and then move on from there. So that's probably been good for me. What's the Lord taught you, Matt?
So start with a weird place on this. I listen to a lot of music podcasts, and I was listening to a music podcast where a musician who will remain unnamed was being interviewed, but just talking about his lifestyle and what he does. And this particular person said his motto was today. And he was a person that struggled with drugs and alcohol, which I don't, but it's just taught him that he wasted so much time previously in his life, and he wants to wake up saying today. And so then the interviewer followed up with it and said, what do you mean by that? And I was kind of expecting something very superficial, that he would say something like, I'm going to eat more granola, or I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to stop doing drugs, or I'm not going to break up with my wife for the 5th time. But he said, what that means for me is I'm just going to let people know that I love them and appreciate them every single time I'm with them. And I thought that is a very wise piece of common grace from somebody who's not a Christian, that I think that's a very biblical, good concept, that James 4 reminds us that we're all a mist, that we're all a vapor. One day we're here, one day we're not. And so 2024 is going to be just where I say today, I'm going to let people know I appreciate them. So
that's really good.
Yeah. So last question will be the same as the ladies. So our love language here at NorthWoods is food. So what Christmas food do you appreciate? And this is suggestions and ideas for people. If they love staff, you can always bring these type of things in.
Oh, man. I have some good ones. None of them are good for you.
No.
Right. I have such nostalgic memories of eating Buckeyes as a child, right?
Oh,
Those
wow.
peanut butter balls that
Yeah.
are rolled up and dipped in chocolate. Oh my goodness, that takes me back. And also, again, peanut butter and chocolate. Those Ritz crackers where you make a little peanut butter sandwich and dip those in chocolate. Without those, it's not Christmas time.
Wow. Interesting. And everybody knows that Ryan is the cookie guy around the office.
I am the cookie monster.
Yeah.
I'm the cookie monster.
Yeah. Anytime somebody leaves cookies on the counter, I see Ryan
Ryan may be paying a visit downstairs. I need one of these this afternoon.
staring from afar.
I would say I love those things too. Milk chocolate, not dark chocolate. But maybe because I have one of these in my fridge right now. Somebody brought our family a cheese ball this week.
Yeah.
And it's really good.
It
It's in
is.
my fridge, half gone right now. But a good cheese ball is covered in pecans kind of thing. Man, that's good.
Mm.
Oh man, we could do a whole podcast on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's our love language.
I mean, yeah. First of all, in the Christmas season, the food that like I don't see people bring in, but that for me I have to have during Christmas Eve. Sausage balls. Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So those sausage ball things, like my wife has made a couple of batches of those during the Christmas season because it just, for whatever reason, it fits this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm a big pie guy. I like pecan pies. I like apple pies. I'm a pie guy, but I also love cookies. If anybody brings, so I think of my sister who passed away. She made the Buckeye things. I hated them. But if you bring them in, Ryan can have them all.
Come on.
My mom makes the best sausage balls, so that was one that came to mind. One thing she'll do is get the cheap bag of puff corn. You guys ever had puff corns, like Chester's brand? And get the butter flavor and drizzle white chocolate on it. We call it crack. It's so good. But if we're talking about stuff for people to bring, filet mignon, lobster tail, any of that stuff will work.
Oh, that's good.
This season is where we go to like lots of holiday parties. And so we love a good dip
Yep.
this time. Like this season through Super Bowl season, it's the season of dips. So, I mean,
That's right.
which sounds weird saying that. It's the season of dips.
No, because we don't mean skull.
No, we don't. That's right. Well, Fearless Leader, do you have anything else to add for Christmas season?
No, I'd just say to everyone, Merry Christmas, and be praying for our Christmas Eve services and inviting people to them. And we'll be looking forward to what 2024 brings and all that the Lord is going to do.
Yeah, we'll close with just saying that we have 4 services on Christmas Eve. The 2 on Sunday morning will be regular Sunday services, quote unquote, although we will be celebrating Christmas. And then in the evening, we'll have 2 shorter candlelight Christmas Eve services, which will be different content than the 2 on Sunday morning. So you can come to both Sunday morning and Sunday evening and you will receive 2 different things.
That's right. I'll actually be preaching on Luke 3 the morning of December 24th. And then that evening, we'll be having a special time of song, but we'll talk about a couple of things. One of those is being the topic of light and darkness, and looking forward to that.
Yeah.
5 and 6:30.
5 and 6:30, a little bit earlier so you can get on with your holiday events.
That's right.
Yeah. We promise on Christmas Eve, you'll be done in an hour.
Yeah, that's right.
Good. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody, and have a good Christmas season.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for tuning in to the NorthWoods Church Matters podcast. If you'd like to find out more about NorthWoods Church, you can visit us at our website, www.northwoodschurch.org. Again, that's www.northwoodschurch.org.